This is Zach Cooley. I'm here with Felicia Graves, a George Wythe graduate and Wytheville native, now living as a full-time mom and businesswoman in Chesterfield, Virginia, outside of Richmond. And we are here to talk about her debut book, which is just being published with W.H. Wax Publishing Company, called My Bonus Mom. Is that correct, Felicia?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Absolutely, thank you.
It's really nice to hear your voice. The last time we spoke was, I guess, maybe, has it been 2 years now?
Yeah, it's been I'd say about a year when I reached out.
About a year. So, for those who may be listening, that we hope are listening, can you tell our listening audience how and why you reached out to me about a year ago? How that happened?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had been had it on my heart to write a book for children who are in a
Blended family?
in a blended family, and I wanted to get it out. I had wrote it a couple of years ago, and my husband was very encouraging, like, hey, that sounds so good. I really think you should release it. And he really encouraged me and stayed on top of me because I've been sitting on this content for quite some time. So I started reaching out to individuals within the community who I grew up with. One of those individuals was Wendy Dove, who was my English teacher when I was in high school. And I was just asking her for some guidance, asked her to review my content, and she actually recommended that I reach out to you to get your review on it. She stated that you had wrote some children's books and you were really good in writing. So she gave me your contact information, and you were so gracious to review my book and then also point me into the direction of a publisher. So that's kind of how I got connected to you, which I'm very thankful for, all of my resources that, I've developed over my time in Wytheville.
Well, I am very grateful to you for reaching out to me because it worked out. And I like for when I give people options, I like for things to come through. I'm kind of OCD. I don't like to leave people hanging. So I gave you two options because the only way I knew to do it was the free route. And at that time, you wanted illustrations, you needed somebody to edit it, you needed the whole thing. I don't know if it was quite complete in the stage that where we were talking. So I said, it just so happens that I know a friend who is involved with a publishing company. His name is Jeremy Miller, and he could get you hooked up with a real full-fledged publishing company, which is W.H. Wax Publishing, which is now the company that I work for. Not only am I a publishing consultant to get people to sign up with Wax Publishing Company, but I'm now the chief editor, and any novels that come through, I am now editing the content for the novels. So I actually ended up taking over Jeremy's position in that with that company. So it worked out well for both of us. But in being a part of that company, I was able to see the cover of your book and what the layout was going to be. I've not seen the book yet. Now, tell me if I'm right or wrong. You were scheduled to go into print in a couple weeks, about mid-September, maybe?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you have a...
Just right final touches, so I'm just waiting for confirmation from the distribution company, and we're really hoping over the next week or two that it'll be released.
Very good. And would you do me a favor if you could?
Sure.
Would you send me? I would love to have a signed copy of the book when it comes out.
Absolutely, would love to.
Would you? That would mean a lot to me. And I've seen the illustrations, and they're absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
The illustrations are absolutely beautiful. It put me in mind of the Disney children's series Doc McStuffins. Is that?
Yeah, the illustrator that I worked with, she is from the Philippines, and I mean, she just did a fantastic job on delivering what I was looking for. You know, I was able to give her, you know, a couple of examples of, you know, what I had visioned for my book.
Right.
And it's amazing how she, you know, turned it to life, should I say. I mean, she really delivered in an excellent manner. So I'm very pleased.
All right. So what is the name of your illustrator?
Her name's Jarlin.
We want to get that name out there for sure.
Absolutely.
Did you say Jarlin? Is that her name?
Yes, and I know she'll be tagged in the release that WH Wax will outline on their social media. She's been tagged in a couple of their posts, so you know, listeners will be able to check out their work, you know, once they you know, do the announcement.
Right. Very good. Okay, so can you tell me about, as far as your illustrations, what level, what vision did you have as far as illustrations?
Yeah, so I really wanted to make sure that my book portrayed love between all parents within a blended family. So, you know, my story, you know, I've got a little girl who her father had, you know, married, you know, into another family. And I wanted to make sure that it showed support. That was important to me when I was speaking to the illustrator. So there were some times where, you know, she'd deliver something and I'd say, oh, hey, like, that's great. But, you know, can you show that both of the moms are, you know, hugging the little girl so that, you know, it's showing that there's love there, right? Like, and there's support. So that was probably the main message that I kept pushing with the illustrator is, hey, I want to make sure it shows that everybody's loving and getting along and supporting the little girl, because at the end of the day, you know, when I look at the overall message of the book, it's really about making sure that the child is at the center, and that all decisions that, you know, the parents are making are focused on how that will have an impact on the child. So that was probably my biggest thing is, you know, showing happiness, showing support, showing love, and so that, you know, other kids will know who are maybe in that situation that, hey, it's okay. Like, if you have two moms, it's okay to show that, you know, you love both of them. Or if, you know, if they're in a different situation where, you know, mom has moved on and married, you know, someone else, that, hey, yes, you have a dad and a stepdad, it's okay to love both of them. And to express that love, and, you know, all the parents support you, you know, showing that love. So that was really my goal when I was, you know, speaking with the illustrator for the book.
Because in blended families, you know, we have non-blended families. We have, you know, your basic mother and father and child where they don't receive the love that they should. And so for you to come from a blended family, or come as a stepmother in a blended family, making sure that the child receives the love that they deserve, a child that you did not give birth to, that is a tremendous kudos to you, is what I'm trying to say. Because this was autobiographical in a sense, because it is based on your stepdaughter, correct?
That is correct. I wrote that book from experiences that I went through. Honestly, the book was really therapy for me, because it was really hard, you know, coming in. When I first met my stepdaughter, she had just turned 7 years old. And, you know, it was hard for her to, you know, kind of open up to me. I saw that it was tough, when Mother's Day rolled around. And, to be honest, when I say it was therapy, there were sometimes, I was hurt about the situation where, Mother's Day would roll around and, I wasn't really gifted a Mother's Day gift from her. And, when asked, like, hey, like, why didn't you do it? Well, I didn't know it was okay to do that. And so there's a specific page in there in that book where, it touches on that. Like, hey, I have two moms and I'm able to gift two gifts on Mother's Day, So I wrote that book with the mindset of how I wished my situation could have been at the time. And that's how the book formed. And
so
yeah.
it wasn't so much that she didn't want to give you the gift, it was she didn't know it was okay to give you the gift. That is very interesting.
Right. So that message is to, again, to show not only for the parents and for the kids, like, hey, it's okay to display that love. You can still love your mom. You're always going to love your own mother, but now you also have this stepmom, and, it's okay to love her too. And to show that love to her.
And in the situations, depending on what the situation is, it's my belief that, I was very lucky very blessed, I should say, that my mother was a wonderful mother, but her mother was not. So it's always a situation where it's not necessarily the one who gives birth to you, but the one who does the job. And if you have two moms that are doing the job, then that's great. You're doubly blessed, or two dads, or whatever the situation may be. So let's talk a little bit more about the plot of your book, the story of your book. Now, you had this in mind. Have you had this in mind ever since you married your husband, or has it been before then, or how long? How long has this been rolling around?
Before I married my husband, so maybe like a year before, I would say in around 2020. Where I started drafting the book, and like I said, I read it to a couple friends, and I was like, hey, what do you think about this? And I got some really good feedback, and then I just sat on the content for a long time.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was my husband who kept saying, like, hey, I think you really need to check on this book, like, see if you could get it published because it sounds so good. And then, again, that's what encouraged me to start taking the necessary steps to get where I am today.
So you're talking about 4 years.
Yes.
That it took for this my little children's book to become what it is. Through the process, how did you feel through the process? Were you continually encouraged? Were there times you felt like you wanted to give up? This is taking too long. I'm never going to make this. What was your thought process throughout all this?
I'm not going to lie. There was a moment in time where I was very motivated to get it published. And then, I reached out to several friends and a couple family members and asked them to read it. And I got all positive feedback. And then there was one person that got some constructive criticism from, but, I'm always open to that. And, the response I got was, well, hey, you might want to change this because we feel like you're portraying that this story means that the daughter loves the stepmom more. And, I had to sit on that for a while because I was like, maybe that may be how it reads, but I had this vision with the illustration that's going to show otherwise. And so I did get a little discouraged through that time frame. And honestly, I sat on that book for, I think it was probably about 6 to 7 months. And that's when I started doing the outreach. So I sat on it again for months because I just got a little discouraged. But I was confident in what I was delivering, and I was confident in how I was going to be working with the illustrator to make sure that the message didn't show that. Again, it was to show that there's love for all parents, not just one.
And the end product, what it looked like just from the cover, I looked at it and I said, Well, I'm glad I sent Felicia down that route because I could have come up with nothing on the free route that looked like that. And like I said, I didn't know what kind of money that it was going to be. I still don't know how much it is to print a book with WH Wax Publishing, but obviously it was worth it to get where you are, yes?
Yes, absolutely. And honestly, my mindset around this book is I didn't release this book to make money.
Sure.
It really means a lot to me to know that I could be releasing something that could change just one person's life.
That's what it's it.
Absolutely. If there's one blended family who, maybe they can see that their child's struggling with opening up and feeling like they don't think it's okay to, show love for the other parent. If, someone reads this book to the kid and, all parents are on the same page and it changes the way that child reacts, that's a big win for me, even if it's just one family. So I'm really in this to impact other lives.
That's what it's about. And the reason I asked you, did you get discouraged question, because all writers do.
Absolutely.
All writers do. They get to a point where they say, I can't invest any more time in this, because it's, when you write a children's book especially, it's very little copy, very little output, whereas with a novel it has to be a minimum of 40,000 words. Some people say 50,000 words. So it's, in terms of content, it's very little output. So people don't see how much work goes into those couple hundred words. Those, how much you went through just to get those couple hundred words just right. And working with an illustrator to create a point that your words can't say. You have to look at it, and it has to be visual. Every author goes through that, and for you to have come out on the other side and say, I have the finished product, and this is what it's going to look like. And how did you feel when you saw that finished product? Was it overwhelming for you in a good way?
Oh, yes, I was thrilled. It's just amazing to see, again, something that you worked on for so long, like you said, 4 years, I wrote this and sat on it, and to see it, the final product, I was just very happy and, like I said, pleased, and I can't wait to get my hands on an actual copy myself. I've actually been reaching out to them like, hey, where can I get one? So I'm just as excited as the release as, I hope others are.
Oh, yeah, because when you hold it, it will be like holding your child. I'm serious.
Right.
It's like, this is my blood, sweat, and tears, and I'm holding it in my hand. I've done it. I've finished it. And speaking of children, you have a new baby.
I do. I actually just gave birth to my first child on June 15th. So I wouldn't say I'm new to motherhood because, again, I treat my bonus daughter. She's always been like my own. But I just, again, I came into her life when she was 7. So now I'm getting experience in infants, which is a whole new game.
Exactly. So if you want to say their names, what are your baby's names? If you don't, we'll just edit it out.
Yeah, no, my oldest daughter, which is my bonus daughter, her name's Alani Graves, who I've dedicated the book to. So I have a full dedication page in that book, which, by the way, she knows nothing about this book. It's going to be a surprise gift for her as soon as I'm able to get my hands on a copy.
And boy, will I be anxious to see that reaction. So.
Yes, I can't wait to give it to her. I'm so excited. And then I have Camilla, who is my 2-month-old. She's keeping me busy and on my toes.
And I heard her cooing in the background, and she just sounded just precious. Your husband's name is?
His name is Emil. Very loving, supporting husband. We've been married. Our anniversary is actually coming up in a couple of weeks. We'll be married for 3 years. So.
Congratulations. Emil?
Thank you. Emil, yes.
And tell me your stepdaughter's name again. Your bonus daughter's name.
Alani.
Alani. All right.
Yes.
And she's 13.
Yes,
Wow.
she just turned 13.
My prayers are with you.
Oh, yes.
So, are we looking for more children, maybe, or just leaving?
Oh,
No, this is it, huh? Okay.
Yeah, I'm so thankful the good Lord blessed me with Camilla, and I think that was very eye-opening. I think this is all I need.
Yep. Well, that's the way my wife feels. God blessed my wife and I with one child, and we said, we'd love to have more, but we found out when Bella was 2 years old that my wife had a congenital heart condition. And had we known that she had that, we never would have tried for Bella. So she's our miracle baby, but they said no more children. So we didn't have any more, and with the energy that this one takes, we're like, okay, God, we understand why you only gave us one. We get it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So congratulations to you. I feel very blessed to be. I was a very small part of your journey, but I feel very blessed to have been a small part of this journey and to have been a part of this, because I think it's going to do really great things, and I want to be able to say that I knew you when, and I helped you on one rung of the ladder. So when it becomes a bestseller, because I believe it's going to do great things for a lot of people. So as we close this out, let's get your Withville connection out over the air so we can have that in the article. You are a George Wythe graduate. Is that correct?
That is correct.
What?
2006.
You are a Withville native. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And how did you wind up in Chesterfield?
Yeah, so after George Wythe, I went to King's University, got my bachelor's degree in neuroscience, and decided to stay in Bristol, Tennessee. That's where King University is.
Right.
Got my master's in business. I was able to get on at a job in Abingdon, Virginia, with a Medicaid managed care company at the time called Virginia Premier.
Yep, I'm still with Virginia Premier today.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I worked for them ever since I graduated in 2012, and I shortly after decided to transfer to their corporate office, which is in Richmond. And so I have been in Richmond since 2015.
Okay.
Still working for a Medicaid managed care organization, so I really enjoy what
All right, I know who to call if somebody gives me grief now.
Oh yeah, yes, you got me.
I got you. I say I know people.
Oh yeah.
Y'all better do this right. I know people. So when you moved to Richmond, is that where you met Emil?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And that's a funny story in its own, but I won't air that on here. But another Whitfield native connected us, and one of those things where you're like, hey, this is not going to work out, and look at us now, we're married with a kid.
Oh, right, awesome. Well, when we turn the speakers off, I want to hear that story. I gotta know.
Oh yes.
Well, Felicia, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for letting me be a part of your journey. Thank you for giving me this time. I wish you great success with it, and I look forward to holding a copy of it when it comes out. So.
Thank you, and I just want to say thank you, for your help, and also, again, I know this is going to our Whitfield peers, Wendy Dove. Again, if I hadn't reached out to her, I wouldn't have gotten in contact with you. So I really, truly thank both of you, and also my friends that, encouraged and read this story and pushed me to move forward. Of course, my husband. So
yeah, of course.
I'm looking forward to it.
Of course. Well, we're all, Withville as a whole is very, very proud of you. Your writers group is very, very proud of you. Your W.H. Wax family is very, very proud of you. And all of us are proud of your success. And from me personally, just glad to have a small part of it. So thank you for that opportunity, Felicia.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
It's great talking to you. All right.